Spencer, a tense 2-1 victory over Basingstoke Town this afternoon. Perry Cole's coming off the bench with a late winner. How great a feeling is it to come out on top on Derby Day?
We always want to win every game. I was delighted to see so many smiles again at the club. It's a lovely place to be the last few months. There's lots of positivity around. I thought we thoroughly deserved to win the game. And difficult game at this stage of the season. 2 games in 45 hours. And I thought overall we were the better side. Basingstoke tried to play the right way, and we could have collapsed when they equalised. But I thought after we equalised, we dominated. I thought it was a stonewall penalty, and we deserved to win it in the end. So I was delighted at this stage of the season to pick up another 3 points, and most importantly for everybody who's supported us this season, that in our last home game, we've put on another show. We're very tired, and we've worked really, really hard. I'm very proud of everyone, the reaction that we've had at the club this season. So very pleased to get another 3 points and 1 more to go.
Yep, 1 game left this season. At the top of the table, the title race has gone right down to the wire, and we can have a say in that. Taunton will be hoping we can cause an upset. How are we going to approach the final game of the season?
Well, we're going to do the competition justice. We potentially weren't going to train this week now, being Monday now, but we'll be in Thursday. We need to give everybody the respect that the competition deserves. It's fascinating at the top and at the bottom. It's a great experience to go there. We've beaten them once, and we'll set up the right way and be honourable to the competition and give it our best. Weymouth are a very good side. They're top for a reason, but there'll be a huge crowd there. Something to enjoy, something for our very young squad to embrace. Because I said to them, this time next year, that's where we'd like to be. Competing for promotion. So very exciting game to finish. Always nice to have those type of games, not dead rubbers. So it's a real challenge. They're a very, very good side, but we'll look forward to it. It's better than playing a dead rubber. So a game that we can really look towards on Thursday, see who's fit, and give it our best, so that we can look back and say that we've done everything possible. And whoever ends up winning, good luck to them.
And looking at this season in general, we've really kicked on since Christmas. What would you put that down to? I think we've signed quite a few more taller players. Do you think that's helped as well?
Not really. I thought we started the season results-wise very well, first few games, but I wasn't happy with the performance levels, and we signed a number of players that weren't fully fit, had niggling injuries, and it backfired, and that's my responsibility. Good lads, but they weren't fit, and even though that we won the first few games, we weren't really performing at the standards that I thought we'd need to be, and we had a large turnover of players for 2 months. We had a terrible October, November, I think it was. We gave it a good go in the FA Cup, but yet again, my form in the FA Cup's diabolical. We're getting closer. We had no goalkeeper. We lost on penalties in a replay after a very difficult game. I thought that drained us, and we ended up having to make changes. A lot to do with injuries. We got a great offer for a player. We have to look at those type of opportunities, and we wish Connor all the best as he moved on. And it was important that we settled down. We had a bad couple of months, and we brought in players that were really hungry, very young, really hungry, and it took us a few games to get going, but since then I think we've been absolutely magnificent, whether we've won or lost. And as a group of players, they've been a pleasure to have, and there have been some key signings. I think the keeper Liam's been great. I thought Mark, the captain up top's been great. I thought young Elliot and Reggie, the 2 loans we had, have done very well, and as I said, they've worked really hard. They've been a pleasure. And we've had a fantastic run, and it's great to see the supporters smiling and the players are smiling, and there was a good atmosphere, even to be fair, in that bad run. But it's not down to anything in particular. We're always going to be at the bottom of the pool on player selection financially. The club is where it is. We're probably a bottom 5 budget club, so we have to pick up the right players. We don't have the right to be any higher in the league. I think this club's only ever been one level higher, and each time we've done that, they've been bankrupt within a couple of years. So we have to try and grow the right way, set targets realistically, and what I feel we've managed to do this season is put a lot of smiles on people's faces, and we're growing, and that's all you can almost ask for. And we flirted with the playoffs for a couple of weeks. I always thought it was a bit unrealistic, but they've been a great bunch, and I'm really pleased for the loyal supporters that and things are going in the right direction, and we'll move on from there.
I think the question that everyone wants to know the answer to, what players are you expecting to keep for next season?
Well, obviously, this time of year, the last few weeks, I've been speaking to players, so the following players have committed to the club, which are Liam in goal, defensively John Anunga, Andrew Masunga, who we've given the month off to, but he's committed to be back here in the end of June, Rob Bartley today, Aaron Oakley, Tom Leggett, Matt Bevan if he can get himself fit. I mean, fabulous lad, and I was thrilled with the support the football community gave him. And who else can we go through? Seth Owens has committed. Bernie Tapper, I think the last 2 games we've given him a go has been fantastic. A young lad, so we're expecting him to be here. He wants to be here. Then Curtis Cumberbatch has been re-engaged onto contract. And then we've got, who we go, in midfield, Harry Cooksley has delighted everyone by saying he's committed to us to at least January, which is fantastic because he's a lad that's had a terrible couple of years with injury and illness, but he loves it here, and he's surprised us. Another one that I've had the probably easiest conversations with these lads because they all want to stay, which is a slight issue. But then moving forward, we've offered terms to Perry Coles. Perry is due his second child in a couple of weeks, so we've been fleetingly looking at him. We know what he's about. He needs to come back really focused, but we've offered him terms. Tony has again committed to us. Connor Cullen's committed to us, and who have I missed? I'm not sure if I've missed any. We're still in touch with Sean Francis after a terrible injury. We'd love to have him back. It was a bit of a secret, but our deadline signing was Alan Ince, where we were actually hoping he was going to play today, but he decided he wasn't just quite ready, and he's possibly going to be available to us. We're talking to him, and he's keen. He's been training a few times with us, so we know we need some experience there. And Michael Fernandez has been re-engaged. We don't expect him to be here. We wish him the best. We expect him to sign possibly for a certain club, Football League club. But it's been very positive. But of course, I have to say that as much as players have committed to us, and it's been very easy to do, they've got to make sure they're still here in July, and we are a club that can't offer big contracts. We just don't have it. So I'm delighted that they all want to come back, and we're hoping to keep them many. We'll be speaking very closely to Elliot Bonds and his parent club Dagenham. He's on still 2 years to go, who's been fantastic. Of course, we'll monitor what Reggie does. And we'd love to keep them all, because I think someone told me the points tally, if we'd started on January the 1st, I think we'd be second. So, and we certainly were a couple of weeks ago. So, of course we want to keep everybody, but the reality to it is that we can't give contracts. I should also add Mark Charles Smith has committed to us as well. So, fantastic and easy conversations to have, and thrilled for everybody. We'll still need to top up 1 or 2, but we'd love to keep them all here and them all to turn up at the end of June. Because why wouldn't they? And they're enjoying it, but we have to also be very realistic and go, this club will live within its means. It continues to do so, and it continues to grow in a very steady way. And the reality to it is that we are where we are, and we are overachieving at the moment, which is nice. We've made great progress. I think we finished 20th last year, and we've got to be very realistic. This club has never been higher, except for when it goes bust, and it's got loads of money thrown at it, which the club doesn't have. So we have to compete with clubs with vastly bigger budgets. We have to compete with clubs that say they haven't got any money, but then they outbid us for players, which is almost hilarious. But I think we need to focus that these lads this year of 2019 have done fantastically well, and we want to keep as many as possible. And they've committed to us. They've shaken our hands. They said they'll be here, but we can't sign league forms till July. So we hope they'll be here. They've said they've been here. I've no reason to doubt any others, and that's a great list to be able to say nearly everybody has said that they will be here. So very exciting. If we can keep this squad together, maybe with 1 or 2 then extra, then we can push on even further next year.
You mentioned a few potential additions. What areas are you looking to improve?
Well, you never know until we see who actually physically gets back. As I said, I do trust these lads, but obviously if a big club comes in with loads of money, we'll have a problem. And there's one lad in particular that I'm going to be speaking to, and that I think we need an area, and he's verbally said he's going to be here. But there's no particular area. We'd love a little bit more experience. If we can't perhaps extend an Elliot Bonds loan, I think he's been fantastic in that midfield, so it's an area that we will look at. But at the moment, when you look at that list of names that's committed to us next year, that's a really complete list. So we need to make sure that if we're bringing in somebody, they're the right people, because I've made mistakes before. They've got to be hungry for the club. We're very young. We've got to look at a couple of the older lads, their injuries and as they're getting older. But I think we just need to enjoy the summer and try and get as many back as possible. And as I said, the feedback's been wonderful, and I think the fans have seen that home and away how much this group of players have enjoyed playing for Farnborough. And we're very excited to try and get them back at the end of June.
Bit of a season review now. Looking back, which players would you say have you been impressed with the most?
Well, the group we've got now have been fantastic, but they're very young. I think Rob Bartley's come back in them very well, but I've already mentioned them. I think I don't want to really pick on players, but I do think when we got the spine right, when Mark came in and was holding up the ball well, and Elliot and Liam in goal, and the centre half, Seth and Rob. And Bevs was a revelation at sweeper, as has Tom been. Tom's been playing sweeper the last few games, so he's done very, very well. But I don't want to take anything away from others. Reggie's been great, Elliot's been great. I mean, there's so many. Connor Cullen has developed beautifully. He started on the bench. He decided to go on holiday for 3 weeks, which didn't help himself. Perry has had a terrible season. He's had a lot going on. He's a cracking lad. I'm his biggest fan. He's having another baby in a couple of weeks. And I've told him he comes back pre-season, and he said he will be. And we get the Perry of, oh, what a strike we've got. And then Tony has come in. He's come from, as usual, we've had to pick lads from step 6, step 5, lads that have been released from pro clubs. That's where we are. That's what we have to do. We have to beg, borrow and steal these players, because they're not coming here for money. And I've been thrilled with all of them. I think they've done a great lot. And even the lads that have left, they've left with our best wishes. Some of them it didn't work out. Connor Calcutt, he's been a cracking lad for 18 months. It didn't really work out for us, and we got a great offer. So I'm sorry, he's going to go. And lads like Jefferson Louis at the start, and CJ's had a difficult first side, but he's just said to me the other day, he said, I should also add, we've asked him to stay, and I'm hoping he'll be here. He's a cracking lad, and he said, I've not enjoyed the season, but I've enjoyed the last 2 months of it. And when people are smiling and enjoying it, it's a great bunch. And as I said, a lot of credit goes as well to my staff. John's been great as usual, and we've worked really hard, and the club has worked fantastically behind the scenes. We've managed to get training in at Cove. I think we've only had to call off 3 sessions all season, which is fantastic. And as I said, it's just a lovely, bubbly place to be at the moment, and very upbeat and positive. And you can see the growth coming. The applause the lads got off today. But as I said, for me, you see the applause we've got when we've been in away games, whether we've won or lost, and we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Yep, a roller coaster of a season. What was your favourite and least favourite games be?
Probably not the most obvious. The least favourite for me was Harrow away. We just didn't turn up. I think 4 of the 5 goals were set pieces, but we were battered from first minute to last. And I was embarrassed for one of the few times about what had happened. And I saw the minibus of fans that had gone there, and rightly so, they were upset. They said the players didn't applaud them afterwards, which is totally unacceptable. We totally understand people that pay hard money to follow us, and some of these trips are huge. And that then follows to the highlight. The highlight for me was the Dorchester game, because it was almost person for person that had travelled to Dorchester behind the goal. I think it was drizzling most that night. It was pretty horrible. And we were fantastic. We won, was it 6-0?
Yeah.
And to be able to see the smile on those people only sort of 6 weeks later that we'd rectified that wrong was really lovely. I thought we were great at Beaconsfield. Obviously we beat Weymouth. We've obviously got Weymouth again, I think even today. We've had a lot of highlights, but to be able to see those fans that we let down that day, and it's staggering, if you do the team sheets, it was most of the same players, and that's how far this group of players have come. So I was really, really proud of what the group did that night to those fans that we'd let down badly, to see their smiles. They'd travelled all the way down there, and we'd really given it a go, and we really do appreciate this very loyal group that, particularly away from home, travel staggering distance, as we found out even this weekend, and had back the lads, and that was probably my biggest highlight, that we rectified that wrong.
Obviously a different set of players this season. Personally, what do you feel this season has showed you compared to previous seasons?
Not a huge lot. We know the level, and we are realistic. We keep harking on about it. I'm firm believer the teams with money predominantly at the top, teams without money at the bottom. We know where we are financially. We are certainly right near that bottom level. And if we can overachieve where we should be, then we're doing things the right way. What we've got to try and aim for is to be this year a Met Police or a Kings Langley possibly, and overachieve and try and go it the right way. And the club doesn't have debt, as much as I'm not involved in it. I hear from the board, it's run quite the correct way. And then you see this horror list that was put out on the internet only last week about conference national clubs. The levels of debt, they're in the millions, and even local clubs are running 300,000-400,000 deficits a season, and we don't know anything. And I remember once sitting in a fans forum here, and a number of established fans said, we just want to be self-sufficient, and the club is, and in fact it's probably making money. It's what we give to the players. I mean, we've had two, maybe now 3 minibuses all season. Players have to drive. So we've spent a grand total of £250 on travel, and we've got a good relationship with coach. So we've got once a week training, and then we train on the pitch. And the division, if I'm honest, is not as strong as it was last year. There's no doubt this reconfiguring has made it slightly easier. I thought last year was particularly difficult, except for the relegation situation. It was outrageously strong. So, but you've also seen that how strong, with the exception of sad Staines at the moment, and we've got sympathy for them, how strong it is. I mean, I think 5 teams can go down next week, and they're going to be on 50 odd points. It's outrageous. The old cliche, everyone can beat everybody. So, it's a really strong division with some really big clubs, and the reality to it is that we want to keep moving forward. Of course we do. We have ambitions. We want to overstep where we were. I said when we were in the Conference South, we were massively overachieving on the money we had. And if we'd got promoted this year, next year would have been a disaster financially. I mean, and then what do we have? All the doom and gloom merchants again going, we're getting hammered every week, it's Spencer's fault and this, that and the other. We've got to be realistic. We are where we are, and a huge amount of clubs would be thrilled to be. We got promoted 2 years ago. People forget that quite quickly. We don't have debt. We've got an amazing stadium. We've got a great bunch of volunteers. The club pays out more, I understand, to run the club than it does to the players in expenses. That gives you an idea on a weekly basis. And they've put on a great season. So I'm thrilled it's been a positive season, and we've got to try and take it on to the next year. But it's very, very difficult, and we have to be realistic whilst other things are simmering behind the scenes, which I'm sure you'll lead on to, that can take this club to the next level. And, that's what we do, try and be really, really positive.
Are you targeting the playoffs next season, and also will the player budget reflect that ambition?
Well, the budget work just doesn't change. It stays at what comes in commercially and through the turnstiles. So the budget is incredibly restrictive. We have to beg, borrow and steal. And it's one of the things I've done this 21 years, that it's your contacts and convincing players to come, players to return. I mean, I don't know literally how many dozens of players come back to club after leaving. And of course we'll target the playoffs. I'd never want to start a season going, we're just trying to survive. And we were excited at the start of this season. We had some pedigree players, but unfortunately we don't have the detail to go into people's injuries. Some really cracking lads, but they did have long-term injuries that they said they were over, but they weren't. So we want to push on. We know it's going to be very difficult. It looks, looking at clubs, and why shouldn't we be excited about it? You look at terrible things like what's happened at Staines, as an example. I mean, congratulations to Hayes. It's taken them years to get up. This is a tough level of football, and we've got to try and be really positive, but also really realistic, and not get carried away and go, hang on a minute, if we have a bad couple of months, and we did this year, it's not the end of the world. We've got fantastic stability. You can see the change in the club in the last couple of years. There are fans slowly either coming back, and there's a lot of new fans, younger fans. The positivity we get, there'll always be the odd knocker, of course. I understand that, a lot of that's personal to me, but fine, you have to deal with that. That's football. But you can see that there has been a change. The community, the sponsors coming back. I've had sponsors coming up to me, renewing. So we're not going to apologise for that. That's wonderful, and let's embrace it and try and be positive. There's always tough times, I'm afraid we can't compete with the Weymouths and the Pools and the clubs at the top with big money. But we're trying our best, and we will target We will target the playoffs. We always will target the playoffs, and we'll try and do what Met Police have done this year, which is excellent. But of course, they've had a cup run, and God, we'd love to have a cup run. Crikey, maybe I'll just pretend I'm not here. Just do something for the FA Cup. We're getting closer. Penalties with no goalkeeper after a replay. We're getting closer. So fingers crossed. We can try and do something, because of course we'd love a cup run for everybody involved.
And away from the footballing on the pitch, a question that's come in: what happened to the 4G pitch that was planned?
I've just checked all that because I don't deal with any of it, but I knew this question was coming. A formal application was put in for a 4G pitch in the last few weeks. It's with the FA Foundation and Rushmore. I was told quite correctly a few months ago that there was a chance it would be laid this summer, and that clearly isn't going to happen because it hasn't been approved, and I don't deal with anything to do with the running of the football club. But it is quite clear. I haven't looked at today's results in the Isthmian, but the top three in the Isthmian, same level as us, they're all on Astros. I think the top 4 out of 5 are on Astros, getting promotion. I think it's the way forward, and as I said, the board are dealing with it, the council are dealing with it. I know they're talking about longer leases. There are lots of things that have been going on, and they take time, And I was told quite clearly, because if you've got an AstroTurf pitch, you look potentially at a slightly different type of player. I have to say the squad we've got now, I think would do fabulously on an Astro, and I think our results on Astro this year would back that up. And I think it would be great for the community, but it's not a short-term fix. And but I think there's a formal application in, and we will wait and see what comes of that. And I think there's other things going on as well. I said they're just not particularly quick, but it certainly hasn't. The club's not standing still in any shape or form.
And finally, the early bird season tickets have gone on sale today. What's your message for supporters to come back for next season?
Well, we've enjoyed 2019, and we hope you have. Thank you for your support. You've been brilliant. I think today summed up the season really well. We're trying to play football. We're living within our means. We're trying to be positive. There's good times and bad times, and we've got one more game to go, which we'll all be excited about. We hope you get behind us. I think we've got a pre-season friendly already booked with Woking at the end of July, and possibly one with Aldershot. And we hope to see you all back. The only way the club moves forward, the club is the fans, is to try and be positive and smiling. And I think we've shown that this season, and you've been fabulous, particularly in 2019. It's not easy all the time, so take the opportunity to save yourself some money. We're hopeful we've got most of the players coming back, and enjoy your summer. And we look forward to seeing you when pre-season kicks off.
Also, what's happened to the youth policy this year?
Well, it's very difficult. We can't just put players in the first team that aren't good enough. I spoke to the academy a lot at the start of the season, and sadly they've struggled this year. I think I checked the other day, they're second bottom in the league. They've had a really tough season, and the reality is they've got to be good enough. This is a tough level of football, and there are very few 16, 17, even 18-year-olds playing in the first teams at these level of clubs. And sadly this year the lads have struggled. They're growing. We want them to grow under the tutelage of Knights, and I keep in touch in different ways with those players, but sadly they've not been ready this year. So last year we were very impressed with Brett Cunningham as an example. I've spoken to Winchester a number of times about him. He's been in and out there mainly on the bench, which sums it up, but the lad's only 17. He's a fantastic prospect, but we can't just put academy lads in the first team and expect to win football games. However much we coach them, they're not ready, and it'll detract from them. The fabulous positive stories of the CJ Ferns, I'm afraid, are exceptionally rare. And we keep monitoring it, and if the lads are good enough, they will train with us and they will get through to the first team. But they've got to be good enough, and sadly this year they've not quite hit the heights that we need to bring them through. But Mark knows very much that any he thinks are good enough will be training with us, and we will look at them. So nothing has changed, but unfortunately we haven't this season been able to bring the lads through, and we want to keep a stable first team as well. And besides the Christmas New Year period where we rotated lads, and I must say the last 4 or 5 games we've made a conscious decision to rotate lads, to look at people like a Bernie Tanner, to look at Tom as a sweeper, to have another look at Tony Halsey, Connor, to give them minutes at this level. So it's important that we've used these last 4 or 5 games, and that's why sometimes you're looking at the team sheet going, well, what's going on here? Well, we know what Perry Coles is about. We know what Mark's like. So we've tried to be really positive and use the games rather than just wait for pre-season. And we hope that next year the academy lads have a really good intake and they develop further with Mark and Knight's group and are pushing for first team places. So nothing has changed, and we're a club that really does support youngsters coming through into the first team.
And another question that's come in: who do you think will be sitting on the Iron Throne at the end of Game of Thrones?
Best question. I hope it's Tyrion. He won't be, but well, look, he's quality. I'm looking forward to getting home actually now and watching it. But I think Cersei or Tyrion. I have a suspicion it will be neither, but quality question.
Brilliant, thanks.
Thanks a lot.